The next story we have here...
The next story is a really sad old guy.
A really sad old guy who murdered someone in a movie theater. We covered this guy before. He was an ex-police officer. He killed a guy for texting in a movie theater. Now, we can all agree that texting in a movie theater is annoying, but none of us would murder anyone.
Well, I don't know about that. TJ, we were in the theater the other day, and he was like, man, that guy's texting. I think I might want to blow him away. I was like, TJ, remember the guy in Florida? And he's like, oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, and I'm not even in Florida. And I'm not an old retired cop either.
But when you become a retired cop in Florida, you probably will do this, TJ.
Yeah, for sure. When I reach that point in my life, as every man eventually does, when you're a retired cop in Florida, then I will shoot someone.
So this was just his bail hearing. This was not like a criminal trial, but it went on for almost as long as most criminal trials, low-profile criminal trials would go. And even his daughter testified on his behalf, and then there were eyewitnesses at the theater that testified against him. So here's a little snippet of that.
Retired Tampa Police Captain Curtis Reeves shed tears in court Wednesday.
He has high blood pressure.
His family and friends came to the 71-year-old's defense in a bond reduction hearing that felt more like a murder trial, with more than 8 hours of emotional testimony. Reeves pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder and aggravated battery charges stemming from a shooting inside this Central Florida movie theater January 13th. He's accused of shooting and killing Chad Olson, who had been texting with his 2-year-old daughter's babysitter during the movie's previews.
He said,
I don't understand a not guilty plea in this case.
With so many witnesses.
With so many witnesses and your own version of events makes you guilty because you're like, oh, he threw popcorn at me and I shot him.
That's just right.
Oh, wait, it was an unidentified object, TJ.
I mean, it falls back on just the system. I mean, he has the right to say he's not guilty when he clearly is guilty, by his own admission even.
He says an unidentified object was thrown at him. Well, if you can't identify the object, how do you use that as leeway to use lethal force?
An unidentified object, it might be a grenade!
Or it might be a fucking piece of string.
Yeah, how could you assess that was a threat if you don't know what it is? I mean, it's not like the other guy pulled the gun on him.
Well,
what
are you going to do? Are you going to wait to realize what it is, or are you going to shoot first and ask questions later?
The first thing you just said.
No.
Wait to identify what's going on.
That's not the American way. You shoot, and then you're like,
you
what
shoot
happened?
from the hip, hang 'em high.
Every eyewitness report says it was popcorn, so he was just trying to share a tasty treat with them.
somehow every eyewitness saw that it was popcorn, but he didn't.
No, it's an unidentified object to him.
There was some sort of unidentified...
An 8-hour bail hearing, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been to a few trials, and like they last at most an hour.
I love how all of a sudden he's so sensitive, too. All of a sudden, you know.
Oh, God.
Because now his life's going to be affected. He's thinking, I might spend the rest of my life in jail.
I'm just a shitty old man.
So it's just a selfish reaction.
And the really shitty thing is he didn't even get to see the movie.
And earlier his daughter was like, oh, he has high blood pressure.
His blood pressure was so fucking high when he shot that
Hypertension.
dude.
No one else in America suffers from that. Just millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of other people.
You'll hear more excuses from her later on. Here's a little more.
I can't believe he shot me. He took another step and a half, and then he collapsed on my son.
Reeves said he acted in self-defense after being hit in the face with an unknown object in the dark. But witnesses inside the Florida movie theater say the only thing thrown was popcorn. And then Reeves fired a shot.
I mean, let's be honest here. If someone throws popcorn in your face, what are you going to do other than shoot?
Shoot him.
Yeah.
Shoot that fucker.
That's it, Scotty.
The butter
Shoot him, right?
could have been boiling hot.
I think I would actually want to go and get some, like, weapons-grade plutonium and create an atomic bomb and blow them up.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, shooting is a measured response.
I know. I mean, that was like a slap on the wrist, pretty much.
Now, mind you, all jokes aside, but by the time the popcorn was thrown at him, he already had the gun drawn on them at this point.
Which is silly, because why would you throw popcorn at a guy that has a gun?
I think the guy that ended up, becoming the victim was kind of like, this is fucking ridiculous. This old man is pointing a gun at us. Like, fuck you, man. You know what I mean? He clearly wasn't thinking at this point. But
I don't want to victim blame at all. But this guy, the assailant here, the old cop that shot the guy, is a fucking lunatic, and I don't understand how it takes 8 fucking hours to decide what his bail should be. I mean, a bail hearing should be a brief
They're just trying to contest every possible point. I mean, so basically the state obviously was presenting evidence to counter anything that, they were going to say. So, I mean, they just went back and forth.
The fact that it's a national news story, too, also played into it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
for sure.
Because, this isn't an accurate comparison, but in some ways, the O.J. Simpson trial, if O.J. Simpson would have been Joe Schmo, his trial wouldn't have taken a year and a half like it did.
Yeah, a few months.
Let's
Yeah.
listen to some more.
Olson and wounding his wife.
I checked his pupils to see if they would react to light, and they did not.
Olson's widow wept in the front row as Reeves sat in court in civilian clothes and no handcuffs. Reeves' daughter asked that her
That's a very valid point. You or I, if we were in this hearing, we'd be handcuffed and in an orange jumpsuit. We'd be made to look like a criminal.
So here's the question. Is he not handcuffed because he's old, or is he not handcuffed because he's a retired cop?
Retired cop.
I would say so, too.
Yes.
All right.
We would be made to look like a criminal in front of the judge and in front of everyone there. He got to wear nice clothes and not
Especially
be
at
handcuffed.
just a bail hearing, not like a trial. At a trial, yeah, you would be given a suit, but a bail hearing, you'd be in an orange jumpsuit, like,
They're just playing the broken old man card.
Oh, for sure.
Reeves' daughter asked that her elderly father be released.
He has arthritis in his hands.
Oh,
Joe.
oh no! Arthritis in his hand.
Not
also
too
shot
bad, though.
murdered
Not
someone.
too. His arthritis isn't so bad that he can't pull a trigger and shoot somebody.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
murdered someone. He didn't fucking smack someone. He murdered them.
Yeah,
I
it's not
mean,
like this. This is not
Just
something.
let him go.
Just let him go. So what? He shot someone for no reason.
Arthritis.
Look,
Give him some aspirin.
can you imagine? That'd be like if I fucking killed a bunch of people and then I went to trial and it was like, he has irritable bowel syndrome.
He's got to take a shit every 2 minutes.
God, how can you not understand his plight and sympathize?
Kept all of his tools because he just knew that that his hands would get better and he'd be able to do it again. Happened.
An off-duty deputy attending the movie with his son said he heard Reeves talking to his wife about the shooting after the gunshot.
And she postured, and she said that was no cause to shoot anyone. And then he leaned back around and stuck his finger out, as to, scold her, and said, "You shut your mouth and don't say another word."
All right, so this was the man you just heard speaking was a deputy sheriff who was at the movie as a civilian, and his eyewitness account is what he's saying was his own fucking wife was telling him, "You shouldn't have shot that guy," and he was like, "Shut your fucking mouth! You don't know what you're talking about."
I mean, and this is another cop saying this. I mean, usually these guys protect each other in any circumstance. I mean, like, for this other cop to come forward and paint this guy as the bad guy, this dude must really be a piece of shit.
I mean, this is a slam dunk case. This guy did it. I mean, everyone there is saying he overreacted by
this
huge
guy,
magnitude.
He's old. He's got arthritis. I don't give a fuck. He needs to spend the rest of his old ass life in jail.
Do they have the death penalty in Florida? I would guess.
Oh,
they
yes.
would.
Yes, they do. He I don't know if he deserves the death penalty, but
Well, I don't believe in the death penalty. So
I don't think. Yeah, I don't either. But I mean, in any rate, he'd be dead before the appeals process was even
Yeah, so
concluded.
I mean, he just needs to spend the rest of his life.
They just
in
need to
prison.
give him a life sentence. They probably won't. I feel like a lenient bullshit sentence coming for this guy. I really do.
yeah, here's the last 15 seconds of the news story here.
The judge in the case granting a big win for the prosecution, allowing them to play infrared surveillance video of the shooting in an open court when the hearing continues Friday morning. Martin Savage, CNN, Atlanta.
Wow, that guy is pretty fucked.
Yeah.
What they just said, they're going to show infrared footage of the shooting. So